Have you ever wondered how some of Hollywood's biggest stars rose to fame despite their darkest secrets? What if we told you that the scandals, controversies, and hidden struggles of these stars were the very things that made them legends? In this video, we'll dive deep into how Hollywood's most shocking secrets and untold stories helped shape the careers of some of the biggest stars in the industry. From personal battles to scandals that nearly destroyed their careers, these stories reveal the human side of Hollywood's brightest stars. But it's not just the glamorous red carpets and box office hits that define them. It's the dark moments they overcame that truly made them unforgettable. Get ready to uncover the mysteries behind Hollywood's most iconic figures and how their pasts paved the way for their success. The price of fame. How the dark side of Hollywood shaped stardom. Have you ever wondered what it really costs to become a Hollywood star? The fame, the fortune, the glamour, it all comes at a price. For many, that price is far darker than the glittering surface Hollywood shows the world. Behind the sparkling red carpets and the flashy headlines, the road to stardom is often paved with secrets, manipulation, and sacrifice. The allure of Hollywood can be captivating, but for many rising stars, the journey wasn't as glamorous as it appeared. Sure, the bright lights and the promise of a career full of fame and fortune were tempting, but there was always a catch, and that catch often meant surrendering a piece of your soul. The rise to stardom for many wasn't just about being talented or lucky, it was about being molded into something the industry could sell. The real power behind these stars often came from the figures who controlled their image. Powerful studio heads, producers, and even other actors were the ones who decided how these stars should be portrayed to the public. And in the process, they often stripped them of their identity to create the perfect Hollywood image. The studio system was notorious for pushing young, up-and-coming actors and actresses into the spotlight, sometimes before they were ready, and sometimes without regard for their well-being. These stars were often pushed into a world where their every move was controlled. They were told what to wear, how to speak, and even who to date. Everything was about creating the right image, an image that would make them relatable, marketable, and of course, profitable. But behind that shiny exterior was a darker reality. These stars were frequently subjected to harsh treatment and manipulation. Many were taken advantage of by powerful figures in the industry who saw them as little more than commodities. In many cases, these stars paid a personal price to reach the top. Some were pushed into relationships for the sake of their image, while others struggled with addiction or mental health issues, all while maintaining the illusion of a perfect life for the cameras. Some stars were even forced into situations that would have been considered abusive by today's standards, all in the name of fame. And while some of them found success and fame, the emotional and physical toll was often enormous. But what happens when these dark secrets surface? When a star's personal life starts to unravel or a scandal breaks out? Well, Hollywood had its ways of covering it up. Public relations campaigns were quickly put into motion, sometimes even before the issue became public knowledge. Managers, agents, and studio heads worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bury the truth and keep the star's image intact. In some cases, new stories were created to divert attention from the real scandal. These stories could range from fake relationships to fabricated controversies, all designed to distract the public and keep the star's career on track. The manipulation didn't stop with the stars themselves. It extended to the media as well. Journalists and tabloids were often complicit in the cover-up, working alongside PR teams to keep certain truths hidden. The pressure to maintain a flawless image was immense, and many stars found themselves trapped in a cycle of deceit and exhaustion. But as we know, the truth has a way of coming to light, and some of Hollywood's biggest stars were forced to face the consequences of the carefully constructed image they had been made to uphold. As much as the industry worked to protect its golden figures, the personal toll was undeniable. Some stars couldn't handle the weight of the mask they were forced to wear, and their careers suffered as a result. The question is, how far did Hollywood go in shaping these stars, and how much of their success was truly their own? What did they have to give up to become the icons we remember today? The price of fame was often higher than anyone ever knew. Behind closed doors, the power players of Hollywood. Have you ever wondered who really controls Hollywood? It's not just the stars we see on screen. It's the powerful, behind-the-scenes figures who shape their careers, create their images, and sometimes destroy their lives. These are the people who hold the keys to success and failure in Hollywood, and for decades they've been pulling the strings without the public ever knowing the full extent of their power. Hollywood's history isn't just about the actors and actresses who made it big. It's also about the powerful studio heads, producers, agents, and executives who controlled the industry from the shadows. These power players dictated who would rise to fame and who would fall into obscurity. They had the ultimate say in who would land a major role, and their influence extended far beyond the casting couch. They were the gatekeepers of Hollywood success. But while many of these figures were skilled professionals who understood the entertainment business, the darker side of their power is far less talked about. Throughout Hollywood's history, there have been numerous stories of corruption, exploitation, and outright coercion. Studio heads and powerful producers were known to use their positions for personal gain, often at the expense of young, vulnerable stars. Sexual favors were demanded, promises of roles were used as bargaining chips, and in some cases, these figures would use blackmail to keep their stars in line. These incidents were often swept under the rug or silenced by non-disclosure agreements, leaving many victims with no voice and no choice but to endure in silence. These were the untold stories that Hollywood worked hard to keep hidden. But what's even more shocking is how these power players manipulated the media to control public perception. The studios understood that creating a star wasn't just about talent, it was about crafting an image that would appeal to the masses. They didn't just control how stars acted on set, but how they were seen in the public eye. Public relations teams and media moguls worked tirelessly to create perfect personas for their stars. These personas often painted the stars as flawless, untouchable, and even morally superior. But behind the curtain, the truth was far different. Many of these stars had dark and painful personal lives that were carefully kept from the public. In some cases, if a star's personal life threatened to derail their career, their studio heads would step in, controlling the narrative and even fabricating stories to protect their image. They might make their star appear more scandalous or, conversely, more wholesome, whatever fits the agenda. The result? A twisted, manufactured reality where the truth was hidden and only the image mattered. And the stars? They had little say in the matter. For many, playing the part was the only way to survive in the cutthroat world of Hollywood. Failing to conform to the studio's carefully crafted vision meant the end of a career. But at what cost did these stars maintain their personas? What price did they pay to keep their roles, their careers, and their public images intact? The answer often lies in the harsh, unseen side of Hollywood's powerful players. These power players were not just shaping careers, they were controlling lives, manipulating stories, and holding the future of stars in their hands. And when the time came for these stars to break free or reveal the truth, it was often too late. How many of Hollywood's greatest talents truly thrived under the system, and how many were just victims of the industry's darker forces? The rise of the It Girl, Hollywood's most exploited stars. The phenomenon of the It Girl is not a new one in Hollywood. From the early days of cinema, certain actresses and actors were labeled as the next big thing, often based on their looks or charisma. While some of these stars truly had the talent to back up their label, others were merely products of the Hollywood machine. The creation of these It Girls often involved heavy manipulation. For many of these young stars, their entry into Hollywood was not based on skill alone, but on a certain look or image that the studios deemed marketable. Some were even chosen because of their connection to powerful figures in the industry, while others were pushed into the limelight by their agents, who recognized their ability to sell tickets. What followed was the creation of an image, an idealized version of the star that the public could rally behind. But while these stars were presented as perfect beings, many of them were forced to live under the pressure of maintaining that image. Many of Hollywood's It Girls faced immense pressure from their managers, agents, and the public to remain perfect. The stress led to a variety of personal struggles, including substance abuse, eating disorders, and mental health issues. Behind the shiny exterior, many of these stars were suffering. However, despite the exploitation and pressure, these stars often rose to fame quickly. Their image, often carefully crafted by the powers that be, allowed them to become household names. They were the darlings of the media, constantly in the public eye. But as time went on, their struggles would often surface, and their careers would sometimes falter as a result. But by then, the star had already made their mark on Hollywood, becoming a legend in their own right. The male stars, how Hollywood's darkest secrets shaped their careers. While much of the focus has traditionally been on female stars in Hollywood, the stories of male actors are also filled with dark secrets and hidden struggles. The male stars of Hollywood, particularly during the golden age of cinema, were often forced to conform to certain masculine ideals that the industry and society dictated. Like their female counterparts, male stars were carefully shaped by the studios, but in ways that reflected different standards and pressures. Male actors were expected to portray strength, stoicism, and an air of mystery. They were not just actors, they were heroes, warriors, and the epitome of masculinity. But beneath these carefully constructed personas, many of these stars had to battle their demons. Substance abuse, troubled relationships, and mental health issues were common among male stars. And in many cases, these struggles were kept hidden from the public. Similar to the experiences of female stars, many male actors were coerced into relationships, both romantic and professional, that they may not have desired. Some were involved in secret affairs, while others were forced into uncomfortable situations by the studio heads who controlled their careers. These behind-the-scenes interactions were often hidden from the public, allowing the stars to maintain the facade of perfection while struggling internally. Interestingly, some of Hollywood's biggest male stars became icons because of their ability to mask their inner turmoil. Their carefully crafted personas allowed them to maintain their fame despite personal struggles. However, when the pressures of Hollywood finally took their toll, many of these stars faced a swift fall from grace, overshadowed by the issues that were hidden for so long. The dark side of the American dream. At the heart of these stories is the idea of the American dream, the notion that anyone can achieve greatness if they work hard enough and are given the opportunity. Hollywood, as the ultimate symbol of fame and success, has been both a beacon and a trap for many seeking that dream. While it has undoubtedly provided opportunities for countless individuals to rise to fame, it has also exposed many to exploitation, manipulation, and abuse. The darker side of Hollywood's legacy lies in the treatment of stars, how they are often used, shaped, and discarded once they no longer serve a purpose. For many, the rise to stardom is not as glamorous as it appears. It involves navigating a system that sometimes thrives on exploitation and sacrifice. Despite this, many stars have managed to transcend the darker elements of Hollywood and become legends in their own right. The secret to their success often lies in the control and manipulation of their image, allowing them to maintain the illusion of perfection despite the personal battles they may have faced. The result is a complex tapestry of fame, power, and secrecy that has shaped some of Hollywood's biggest names. So, how much of Hollywood's golden age was built on the backs of its darkest secrets? How many of these stars truly made it on their own? And how many were shaped by the manipulation and power of the industry's hidden forces? The price of fame may be higher than we ever imagined, but the truth is, the stories of these stars remind us of the cost of stardom in Hollywood's glittering world. If you found these revelations shocking, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more inside looks into Hollywood's hidden history. The stars may have shone brightly, but it's time we start uncovering the shadows they left behind.